this is really annoying me to the point where I want to get off social media.
Tell me.
Okay, and I was talking to ChatGPT, fussing it out. I have a weird relationship with ChatGPT. I don't know if anybody else does.
Hey,
because I feel like,
hey, I've seen people's names for ChatGPT.
I have a name, so people don't think I'm weird.
No, because you're better off saying, you're better off saying the name than.
Yeah, because after a while, I'll be like, woo, you just mentioning it.
You just
chat a lot.
You really talking to ChatGPT?
Someone said to me, they was like, well, after he was getting off the phone, well, you tell Chat I said hi, because obviously y'all talk a lot. I said, oh my God.
Full on conversation.
Man, but I just had a baby, and now, I just was talking to Chat all day instead of, the baby. But it's the captions. It's the when people talk about whatever.
Yeah.
And the formula is,
it's
not X. It's
was
Y.
Y.
Oh my God. If I hear that one more time, it's not this. It's not this. It was Y.
It's not even a flex.
It's annoying me so much because it's so overused. I told my chat, I said, listen, why do you keep saying this? Because everyone is saying this in every caption.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Let's just say what it is now.
Let's say what it is
killing
now. Yeah.
grammar techniques.
This is so crazy.
Everybody is saying
it's
this.
using the same thing.
It's a technology or innovation of convenience.
Yes.
Yeah.
That has been overplayed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because people are using these platforms to be able to put out these kinds of captions, because captions really make the post anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
But I will say, in business, one of the things that is critical is for you to be able to stand out from, a friend of mine says, from the sea of sameness, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be able to stand out, and that it's not X, it's Y.
Oh my God. It doesn't work anymore.
That's not the one.
You just pass by it now, like, okay.
It's critical to be able to know what's a trend.
Yeah.
And when the trend is played for you.
Yes.
Because I think some people are like, well, I just want to use it because it's trending. No, fam.
I don't like it.
No.
And even though we naturally do use it in conversation,
but we might not say X or Y. We just
right. Like it wasn't just a worship service. It was an experience. Like we might say it, but now I don't even want to say what I would say.
No.
So I'm like, I gotta find a new way to communicate.
Another way to say
it's crazy. It's crazy when you have to you hear it in your head and you're like, no, not saying that.
I refuse.
Mm-mm.
Let me just say what it is instead of what it's not. So that's like where I am. Like, how can I communicate and just say what it is and let that what it is separate
it?
Yes.
Because oh gosh, I have to go through what is not for the next 10 seconds, and then you give me a list with these green check marks or emojis.
My goodness.
I said, hey, stop talking to me in emojis. Stop doing this. Okay, this M dash.
This is a whole. This is a whole. Like this is becoming a whole new world that people are dealing with, and it can be annoying.
Yes,
it can be annoying. But I guess try to find that balance, because you don't want to not know what these trends are, and you don't want to not use technology.
Right.
True.
But you've got to find what's your happy medium, what's your norm.
What's your voice, your cadence?
Voice.
Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
When I read it with some people, I'm like, you don't speak like that. And someone sent me something, I was like, yeah, it sounds like you use ChatGPT and didn't train it on your voice. And they were like, they just sent me the rolling eyes emoji. I said, just spend more time with it.
Spend more time with it.
Go ahead and pay for that paid version, because then you can really train it.
But also, edit.
It's
okay to edit. It's okay to read it through and be like, I would not say that.
No, but most people don't know themselves enough to know how they even sound.
And we're back.
Yes.
Welcome, sports fans, to another session on the Incubator's couch. I know you've been waiting, you've been anticipating, you've been like, yo, where are they at? And I'm here to tell you, we are back, and better than ever. We got one of our Incubator's couch alumni. I will call her alumni on the couch with us today. We got Sharona
I'm
so excited. I'm so excited, and she's got on the shirt today too.
Yes, she does.
Come on.
Okay.
The ladies version. Heard
Love it.
Heard first. We're gonna have some of the merch in the description for you guys to be able to go in and grab what you. Yo, HSV, stand up. Come on. HSV, stand up. Let's make it proud. Sharona, take a second. You're alum. But for those that are coming in brand new, we got different podcast style episodes and different things happening for Incubator's Couch. So just take a second and introduce yourself. What do you do? And I'm actually curious as to which one of the many jobs you're going to pull from.
I'm not this, but I am this.
Oh
Trigger. We like last episode we were saying we need a red flag.
I know.
But now we also need like trigger. Like a big trigger warning right here. All right. But yeah. Share with us a little bit. I know you do a lot of things, but give us a mixture.
I think the best way to say is I'm a creative strategist and I'm a speaker.
Creative strategist and speaker.
Yeah.
Those are two broad umbrellas. I like
those
that.
are two very broad umbrellas.
Yeah.
I like to think.
Yeah.
Right. And that has shown itself in branding and marketing. It has shown itself in my nonprofit working with creatives. It's shown itself in musical performances, songwriting, all of that. But at the end of the day, my favorite thing to do is to think about thinking.
Think about thinking.
Oh man, it's my favorite. If I could be a philosopher, like
we're gonna turn
I'm
off
a
the
modern
podcast.
day.
We're gonna turn off the podcast right now because I am like, think about thinking is dope.
Wow.
I think it's my favorite thing to do too.
Yes,
I think
and
so
this
too.
is the challenge for many people with me is like, because I'm constantly asking my coaching clients, so how much time did you spend in reflection? Did you think about this? And they're looking at me like, no,
I'm sure they did not.
no, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. And it's just occurring to me now as she's talking like, oh, that's not normal.
No, it's not.
No.
I like thinking about
y'all
thinking.
don't be thinking.
No,
What?
Not like that.
Okay.
No.
it's so much, and I like finding. So my best friend has called me for years, called me controlling. Then I realized it's not that. Say, no, you're controlling. I just ask you questions because I'm like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
She'll make a rereservation and don't tell you till an hour before. Get dressed. And it's like, what? Or like, you missed the reservation. Why didn't you tell me?
That's not controlling.
We're doing the escape room and I'm in heels and all of this because you ain't want to tell me.
My goodness.
You'll park a half a mile away and make us walk in heels to get there because you would.
No.
I said, no, you're controlling. I'm manipulative. And here's the reason why.
Potato.
I love it.
Here's the thing. I just want to see how the thing works. I always have an experiment. I'm experimenting with people. I'm experimenting with ideas. It's the thinking about thinking. Does this work? Is this consistent?
I'm having a whole revelation right now.
So I have a control and I have a variable.
Yeah.
I actually don't care what the answer is, but I do think I know what it is.
I think I know what it is.
Oh
and
my
I'm
goodness.
really trying to prove myself right.
Yes. Right here.
Okay.
All right, let me push this over this side. Now let me see what they're gonna do when I do this.
What do you do with it? Okay.
I'm not trying to cause trouble. It's an experiment.
It's all an experiment.
Quite literally.
I love learning.
Oh my word.
And so I'm always doing little things to see what is consistent.
You know
Right?
what? Like I feel like I'm on the couch right now. Because real talk, this is why I keep changing the studio.
Yeah.
Because I'm
my
like,
goodness.
now what if I change this
Yes.
over here? Oh.
What does it
Or
do?
what if I put this over here? I don't like that.
Yeah.
Then I move this up over here. I'm like, oh snap. We done got a whole new set. So I'm like, man, let me tinker a little bit, tweak
Always
this a little
tinkering.
bit.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's
gosh.
it. That's it. And so you get to do a lot of different things.
Yes.
So I live life like it's an experiment, right? So then I'll do like, oh, what does this look like if I do this
Right, this
music?
over here.
What does this look like in branding and marketing? What
Right.
does this look like in ministry? I'm trying to see where things are consistent.
Yeah.
Like, because the search is for truth.
Oof.
And truth isn't based on facts.
Oh God.
Right? Like, because the facts change.
Yes.
The fastest man in the world
Yes.
10 years ago is
Come
not the
on, not
fastest
the
man
same-
today.
Come on.
I'm
sis.
done with you.
Yes.
It's the face.
I'm done with you.
So you can't live by facts.
No, you really
True.
can't.
You can't live by people say numbers.
Don't lie.
Numbers lie.
Yes,
you
they
can
do.
you can
Fudge
you can
them.
work
Yeah,
the
yes, you
numbers.
can. You can.
You can mess them things around. A statistic. You can
Yes,
ask
you
the
can.
Yes, you
Well,
can.
this is if you grade this on a scale,
Right.
with a curve,
Right.
you can make
ask
them
a
numbers.
biased question.
Yes, you can.
Right?
Ooh.
Like I was and we were
Yeah.
talking about ChatGPT earlier, and I was having a conversation with somebody about religion, and they said they asked ChatGPT like what religion is most accurate. And so Christianity was like the top one, and X, Y, and Z. And of course, I then go in, I ask, I'm like, let me see. And it was, and I said, okay, now is this question biased because it's a Western mindset to care about what's right? Right? Like when you deal with indigenous
Yes.
cultures
Cultures,
or other,
right.
it's like the truth is in the gray.
Yeah.
The truth is in the extremes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or it's in story.
My
So you
God.
have a lot of cultures that don't care about the facts. You know, it's about the story, the moment, the principle, right? It's the reason why when we were kids, it was Aesop's fables or this. They didn't tell you this is how you should treat people or you should focus on. It's like, no, the tortoise and the hare.
The tortoise and hare.
I'm just going to tell you that story.
That's it.
Let the lesson,
Let the lesson
say what it's going to say.
Say what it's gonna say.
Jesus sermons, parables.
Parables.
Or it's like
Make of it what you
affirmations
will.
or mantras. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus didn't teach the way we teach you. 3 points. First, you got to do this. Second, you got to do
He
this.
didn't
Third,
do
you got
that
to
at all.
Right. So to even the idea of who's right.
A sower went out to sow.
Right.
That is
Is
gold.
a colonized, westernized mindset
God.
of what's right. Right. And so it's like the facts. Who has the dates? Who has this? And I think we miss a lot because we're focused on the little details.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Honestly, some of these writers, at least in scripture, didn't care about because their culture wasn't about that.
What?
So
No, they really weren't.
no,
they really weren't.
You know, it's like you're going to find the truth in the story.
Yeah.
Right? It's a parable. I'm not saying this was.
And each person will walk away from a story
Different.
with a different
Yeah.
takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say
Yes.
a different truth, but really a different takeaway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so I'm really switching again, thinking about thinking, right? I've been really working that and seeing why, like books like the Bible or some of these other, when you look at some of the top religious books,
Right.
they're stories.
They really
Right,
are.
you're thinking of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Alchemist,
Oh, this
Pilgrim's
is good.
Progress,
Yes, it's
all these
good.
things.
Right,
Because
right.
when you're saying those who have ears, let them hear, I hear it now as it doesn't matter what level you're on, you can hear it.
You can hear it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's, the story of the tortoise and the hare means something different
Yes, it does.
when you're 40,
9,
35,
Yes,
whatever, as
40,
opposed
right.
to like
Absolutely.
10.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
I think about the story with the chicken and the eagle.
Yeah,
The-
yeah,
the-
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
the
yeah.
eagle that is
Grew
growing
up
up
with
with
the
the
chickens.
chicken
Right,
and
right.
think he's one.
Right.
Like, I write about it in my upcoming book, and I'm like, now I imagine that differently. Like, I imagine that the eagle was always different in school. I imagine that
Yeah.
everybody called the eagle
Yeah.
rebellious,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
wow.
I imagine that's like, why you always got to be different? Why you always doing things the wrong way? Just get it together, get it together.
he
And
was
so
in the-
his
he was in the
whole
wrong
life, like,
space.
he's just different.
Right.
He's going through like, man, what's wrong with me? I
He's
imagine
an
when he
eagle.
looks up
Come
at the
on.
sky, they're like, you're not doing your work, you're distracted. And really, he's finding his home.
Yeah.
I also imagine that as he starts to fly up in the sky, he's looking down, and the only people who've ever cared for him are the people he's now separating from.
Right.
And in order to find himself, he had to leave
He had to
everything he
leave
loved.
everything he loved.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, his mom is there. Like, in order to be who he's supposed to be, he had to leave his family.
He had to leave everything.
Like, I imagine he was tempted as he's flying by himself now.
Yes.
Like, you were used to
just-
having family, like to go back.
To go back.
The temptation to be like, I could be a better chicken.
I was,
you know what I'm saying?
I was
Like,
on, no real talk. I was on a podcast, and the guy was saying that we were contrasting the whole life of an eagle, but the guy said eagles do not fly in packs.
no.
they
Eagles
don't.
fly alone.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Eagles are solo
Yeah.
creatures.
Yeah,
They're
probably a
majestic.
weirdo. Like, he was probably by
Yeah.
himself all the time. Like, I
Yeah.
imagine, like, don't even talk to anybody. Just,
Yo, this is so funny because last episode she was on, what was it? The duck
Dog.
or
And
the
the dog.
what?
Duck or the dog.
I
Now
know,
we
it's
talking
always
about a
an
chicken or eagle. I love it.
yeah.
But you know what? But the truth of the matter is, we still in the. I was gonna say we in the text, but no, we still on topic.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
the challenge for many business owners is
Yeah.
knowing who they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then also for business owners to know who they best serve.
Yeah.
And so, because clients don't know whether they're an eagle or a chicken
my
either,
gosh,
they
yeah.
have no clue.
Yeah.
So sometimes a client will come. I mean this quite literally. I had 2 guys over here yesterday, and they were in the studio for one reason,
Yeah.
but after being in the studio, they realized they need a whole different reason.
Yeah.
Like they're like, okay,
Yeah.
no, forget
Yeah.
what I asked you for. I need this now.
Wow.
I need, the whole thinking shifted towards workflow. I'm just being a little more specific,
Yeah.
but because they were like, oh, I really just want to need to get my camera set up.
Yeah.
But then they realized like, no, I actually need a workflow that allows
Yeah.
me to churn out content
Yeah.
more consistently. That's not a technical question.
No.
No.
So some of it's going to be a technical answer, but really what you're looking for, and this is where it comes down to for Incubator's Couch, you're serving. You
Yeah.
have provided a product or a service to a consuming audience. And sometimes that consuming audience will not come and ask you directly what they really need.
Yeah.
There's
true.
like
Yeah.
another level. So they're asking one thing, hey, I need branding. No, they
No, you
really
don't.
need.
You need something else.
They need to figure out what
You
their
need
voice
therapy.
is. They
Yes.
need therapy. Actually.
A lot of them need
That's
therapy.
across the board.
Yeah.
That's why we named the
Yeah.
show
Oh my
Incubator's
gosh.
Couch.
Right.
But no, they all need therapy. But you really need to figure out what your voice is.
Yeah. Or you don't even like your company.
You don't even like what you do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
You're doing this because you were raised as a chicken.
Oh my.
So you feel like You know what I mean? This is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And, or, you know.
I'm in the chicken business. Like,
I mean, you're not even
we laying
that.
eggs.
And it's okay.
We clucking. You know what I'm saying?
You will never be good at that.
We
and
running from Colonel Sam.
And they will never care about what you're doing because you're not one of them.
Yes,
not at
you're
all.
Not. Yeah.
You'll always only understand secondhand.
Yeah.
As opposed to like understanding what it feels like to be
that.
this. Right?
Sometimes being in business is really like that.
Oh, man.
Because you have this thing, it's like, I really want to provide this service. And like for me in the media realm, I was doing media for, you know, all these entities, but they wanted it their way.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't allow me to put my extra special sauce on it because it's like, well, no, we just want you to do this, but they're not media people. So then I branch out on my own to do YouTube. And then people are seeing what I'm doing. They're like, well, we want that. Yeah. I was like, well, I was trying to give you this before.
Yeah.
But you guys didn't want it. No. We want that. Like I've had, can't tell me how many discovery calls I've had where folks will literally sit in the session and be like, season 4, episode 2, that design, that layout, that's what I want. I don't care. I want you to be free. And that's what I love about what I currently do. Yeah. And being able to provide from that perspective. It's totally different marketing when somebody's looking for a producer. Yeah. Versus they're looking for Kirk. I can't go wrong. I can't mess up. I can't not provide you a win because you're not looking for a producer. You're looking for what I provide.
Yeah. And then the difference is knowing if they want you to produce or if what they love is actually you. And that's something they can't be.
That's not something they could be.
You know what I mean?
Actually, like one guy was like, man, I bought your mic. And I got the same thing, but
and it's still bad.
It doesn't
still
sound.
don't
I'm
work.
Like, Doc, that's your voice. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
Change it.
I can't change it. Like, there's no setting. Man, how you get the resonance? Like, you get excited. Like, no, that's just Kirk. That's just, like, no, there's a lot there. Yeah, there's a lot there. You get a chance to really see people especially because you're a business that serves individuals but also businesses. Yeah. And I think that's a unique space to be in, especially for those who are watching our Incubator's Couch fam. So, but I mean, you would also have clients from a broad array and spectrum who kind of have different needs as well. So we had a really dope conversation last time you were here, and we're trying to settle into the therapy session. You know what I mean? Because we want to have a little of a exhale type moment. So talk to us about what, a story. We know it's going to have some bends and turns, but talk to us about a story that really that was an eye opener for you as the service provider, as the expert in the scenario. Yeah, I have always, been one of those that my clients, when they work with me, they're always like, oh my gosh, you're brilliant. I've never worked with anyone that has gotten me like you do. Right. It's always been the story. I've had clients that's like, man, I've worked at the White House. I told my whole team, nobody's as sharp as you. Dang. Like I've worked here, worked there. Yeah. And yet the consistency, like the consistent thing is that at some point they're no longer my clients. Right. Right. It's like, okay, I got to go figure this out. Yeah. I'm going to come back to you because you're the one. You're the one.
They send people to me.
Oh man! So they're not even being facetious. Like they're 10 toes down.
Man, right. I've heard through other people like you gotta get where you got it. But it's like at some point, man, I'm not ready. Let me get myself together. Right. A friend of mine who was taking one of my courses, Chris McNish, actually, he said something in a class, and I think it hit so big because I heard it differently than I think he was trying to say it. But he said, Sharona has a way of asking you a question that makes you fear what you've always loved and have been called to do. And he was saying that to everybody. He was like, you know how Sharona does. Like, it was just a matter of fact. You know how Sharona does. She asks you one question that makes you fear what you've always felt like you were called to do. And everybody's like, yeah. And I was like, what? Yikes. Right? And what I realized is I was my biggest problem, right? To moving forward. In that I get so excited and I have so many ideas and I see where it's going. And I'm saying this for those who are visionaries for real. Right. Like when you're a visionary, you see it. You see it. Right? Like, so I see it 10 years down the line. Absolutely. I'm not wrong. And I was like, am I wrong? And even with my husband, I'll tell him stuff and I'm like this happened. I'm like, I said that 2 years ago. Everybody, weren't y'all here? I wrote it down. I did a video. I called somebody.
We
like,
this.
What do you mean? Like, I see stuff and I'm mad. Like, I said this was going to happen. I said people were going to do this, you know. And I've always been that person. Like, told you this was going to happen. I told people, 8 years ago, you should get on Twitch. Yeah. And folks were like, what? I'm like, you sure? I was talking to a producer in Chicago. I was like, that's the move. Yeah. People should get on live on Twitch. Now you got Kai Sadai. Right? So
it's a whole movement now.
Yeah, but who cares if you see the future if you can't sustain yourself to get there sometimes, right?
Oof, and so good. Yeah.
I realized that my biggest strength was hurting me. Right? And that was the story kind of goes to I was getting tested for ADHD. Yeah. Right? Because I'm like, man, I'm all over the place. Like, what's going on? And I got tested once and I was like, this lady wrong. I got ADHD. She was like, you don't have it. She was like, I think you have anxiety issues. I'm like, possibly, but it's ADHD. I'm telling you, right? And I'm one of those people. I'm like, let me just wait a year or so to my insurance say I can take it again.
You can catch up to me.
Did it again. And I'm immediately, like the people, we didn't even finish the test. They were like, so when we meet again, we just, you know.
We're going to touch on this.
Right? So, of course, I do the testing, find out that the test I did before didn't even cover half of what was supposed to be done.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
And they give you an IQ test as well.
Yeah.
So when I get the results back, you know, the doctor calls back and he's like, hey, you know, we're going to talk about this ADHD, but let's talk about what's impressive.
Oh, okay.
He said, your IQ, like, you should be super proud of yourself. Like, it's incredibly high.
Wow.
Whoa.
Like, your processing speed, your this and that. And, you know.
I'm not even surprised by that.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, you know, and this is, I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, but, you know, all right, everybody has a high process. This is my mind. You know, everybody has this. Everybody, you know, everybody.
Yeah, and I'm in the normal range. No,
right.
And the answer is no.
But when you see the numbers and you're like, oh, I'm top 2% here. I'm, you know, this, I'm that. Like, wow, like this is a thing. And what I realized is that I minimized my strength, and in doing that, I was hurting my business.
Yeah.
And not because I wasn't leaning into it. It's because I was ignoring the effect of
superpower.
Yeah. And I sat down with my therapist, and this wasn't just in business. This was in life, which I feel like it's always.
I was going to say this is going to be across the board.
Right. So, you know, I might be like with my husband, and I'm like, I saw this, I told you this, you know, before, you're not listening, blah, blah, blah. And my therapist is like, imagine like you say you want to start running and you go to his trainer. He's like, I train. And it's like, yeah, let's start running. And you start running. They say, are you serious? Because I only work with people who are serious. And you say, yeah. And you start running. And this person, you realize is Usain Bolt. And they take off. But they're saying, hey, come on, run. Get it together. Go. I thought you said you're here to run. I thought let's go.
I am
let's
running.
Go. Come on. All you got to do is, all you got to do. And that's one of my favorite phrases that people have told me. Like, all you got to do is just put it, you know. And he said, that's what it sometimes feels like for other people when when they're speaking to you.
Wow.
Right. He said, and also people don't actually want to be known as much as clearly as you know them. He said that it was all in one season. He said that
people. Let's pause. People don't want to be known as clearly as you see them.
Yeah. Wow. He said they don't.
Wow.
Yeah, and it puts them in a position where he said when someone's like, you don't understand, and you ask a couple of questions and then you end up right beside them. Like, okay, woo, all right, now that I'm with you, let's go. He said it's terrifying if someone's never been understood in their life, and then at 90 minutes you're there explaining to them everything they've been trying to explain to everyone in their life, and then you also explain to them that they're wrong. I know that this is what it is, but also
flip it here.
Yeah, let's go a little deeper, and that's actually probably the issue. But that's fine. Let's go.
Let's go.
And they're like buffering.
Yeah.
Buffering is the right word. I love that.
Glitch.
What? And I had that happen to me in that season where something became so clear that it actually changed everything. I realized like when I looked back over my whole life, my perspective was off.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this how people feel?
Dang.
Like, I don't want anyone to feel like
that like that. Yeah.
Right. And that gifting was overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, it was overwhelming. And I also realized I don't know where people start. I don't know where people's where their pace is.
Yeah.
And because of my own insecurities, I've trained myself to get faster over the years, not slower.
Not slower.
Right? Because I'm like, man, I don't have the education this person has, or I don't have the vocabulary.
Let me run.
Or I have to make sure that people get their money's worth.
Yeah.
And so I'm giving a client way too much for them to handle.
Ooh.
Right? So then they're like, I need to pause.
That's what it is.
Because I gave them 5 years worth of stuff
Yeah.
in 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh, yo.
And so they're like,
crazy.
okay, I need to push pause. I'm not ready yet. And it's like, no, you are ready. I'm just doing too much right now. Like I have to walk you there.
Yes,
Yeah.
true.
And that has changed so much. Like, and a part of it was my insecurity. I want to make sure you spent money. I want to give you what you need.
Yeah, I'm so there with you.
Man,
oh God, that's a whole.
It's a whole
That's a
thing.
series that we could do on Incubator's Couch here. It's like,
a whole-
as a business owner or as a service provider, people spent money. People bought the course. They booked the consult session. They're coming to be with you, and you're like, yo, I've got to deliver.
Yes.
Like the masterclass, they're all here. I've got to deliver. You back up a truck, and they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Too much.
Just
Way
give me
At one
thing.
time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, by
that's crazy.
under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
The over delivery was hurting me.
Wow.
Right. And so I'm like, people couldn't work the plan because step 1 was probably 2 years for some of them.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, we could do this in a week.
No.
No. Because if I lean into this, I have to deal with X, Y, and Z. I have to deal with my marriage. I have to deal with, and I was stealing
That's crazy.
their ability to get there.
Oh.
Right. So like all the lessons that make it your own.
Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine, who I had worked with. I'm like,
you gotta go through the journey.
I'm stealing it.
Yes. Wow.
And in a moment, they have no objections. I'm like, am I wrong?
No.
And they're looking, no. So why won't you do it? I mean, you're not wrong. I had a friend who was just like, just stop fixing it. I'm like, you're talking about you got to stop working for a month. I'm saying, here's the answer.
Yeah.
Stop fixing it.
And it was like, is
It's
this not the
wild.
answer? Right. And
Stop
I'm thinking,
fixing it is wild.
why would you not want the answer? Why would you not want this?
No.
Because I was robbing them of the process.
Yeah.
Golly.
Got to go through the process.
You got to go
That's-
in order
That's
to own
crazy.
it.
Yeah.
In order to own it.
Yeah.
In order for they want to put their stamp on it. And the person that you are when you go through the journey is the person that can handle the success.
Yes.
So if you
Yes.
fix it on the front end and I haven't gone through the journey, I'm actually not prepared.
Not
Yeah.
ready. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a significant space to be
Wow.
in. I think there's just so many golden nuggets
As
for
usual.
as business owners. I mean, it's just one of the things I'm hearing from what you shared is we don't often take the time to really know us
Yeah.
as the service provider, as the business owner. But we also often don't see the patterns
Yeah.
with how we are doing client interactions and engagements, how our projects are going.
Yeah.
Why is it that these people clearly believe in me,
Yeah.
but they're not staying with me?
Yes.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've never considered that before.
Yeah.
That's
And then you go to
wild.
someone
Yeah,
else who
yeah.
messes up whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
And you come back to me saying, can you fix it? But
Can
I
you
don't have
fix
a
it?
budget anymore.
Yeah. Oh,
Right? Can you work with me?
Oh,
And I'm like, but if you would have, but so I've been thinking in my insecurity, then why do you go to someone else? Because they were slower.
they were
True.
slower.
Yeah.
You know, they could pace with them. They could
Yeah.
run with them. Right. And that was something that's changed everything for me.
Wow.
It's changed everything for me. It's been a burden to some extent. Like you feel like you get news and you're like, yes, I have this. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is a thing.
I'm reading this book. I was trying to look for it over here. It's called The Coaching Habit. And the concept is to start with the question
Yeah.
as opposed to the solution. And one of the things I realized as I was reading through, I'm not even done with the book yet, but it's just so good. But one of the things I realized, even in that same vein, because of course I do a lot of coaching, but regardless, even if you're doing a client consult,
Yeah.
even if you're doing a discovery call,
Yeah.
there's still a component of coaching in there. And
Yeah.
just like you said, the question framework allows the person to cognitively step through that process. And when they arrive there, they've actually made that connection in their own brain, as opposed to when you share with somebody something that works, they know that it works
Yeah.
because they can, like, that makes perfect sense, but they haven't arrived They haven't
Yeah.
taken that journey to get there. That's so good. As you're sharing, there's just so many different little realizations and pieces that I'm coming up with. It's like, what?
Yeah.
But I think there's a responsibility that business owners have to continue the work of really knowing themselves.
Yeah.
Knowing what their superpowers are, knowing the thing that comes after. All you got to do is what's after that statement. All right. And then just kind of recognize, I think we don't ask the question often enough. What doesn't everybody do this?
Yeah.
Is this an outlier? Like, am I seeing this in a way that nobody else sees this?
Yeah.
Because I think we just kind of downplay, especially our areas of genius, and everybody has these different zones.
Yeah.
But we downplay our zones of genius, thinking that we're all on the same level.
Yeah. And then we're around people who are like us.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Every now and again.
yeah.
And in some ways, right?
But
Yes.
we choose to work with those. Because
Right.
when you're an entrepreneur, you're not just like in a workspace with,
No, I agree.
a random
Yeah,
Mary and
true.
Joe.
But the
Yeah.
eagle and the chicken both have feathers.
Yes.
So it's like, we're similar, but
Not
Yeah,
quite.
but you see
Not
it.
quite.
you see
Right?
it. Yeah.
So when you're in a room and something happens, you can see the person that
Oh, yeah.
made it, and you're like, oh, we're together.
We
You
together.
see-
No,
right.
that.
Immediately.
Oh, yes. In
And
conferences and meetings.
So,
Yeah.
so you end up with people that actually are flying with you at a certain
Wow,
point.
that's true.
So
Yeah.
you think this is normal.
Yeah.
So I think everybody does this.
Everybody does this.
So in
There's
this
no
moment,
genius
I'm
here.
calling people saying, hey, like I call you saying, hey man,
What about this?
What if people actually are working? Like we feel like they don't want to do the
Dang.
work. They don't want to do. No, they are. We just work at a unnatural speed.
That is
Right.
different.
And maybe we're not great. One of my mentees said, you're a horrible teacher, Sharona. I said, what do you mean? You're my mentee. You've been the best product of my life. Like I've been with you.
my
She said,
gosh.
oh yeah, but she's a teacher, but you're a horrible teacher. You're just great for me. I said, what does that mean?
Got it.
She was like, you don't know how to teach.
Wow.
You only know how to teach a certain type of person. She said, why it worked for me is because I was giving up in school. I wouldn't go to class. I wouldn't go. You're wasting my time.
Yeah.
But you would say something directly, get it there. I got it. I can move with it.
Right.
And so I'm now being
Interesting.
challenged. But she was like, you're not a good teacher. Wow. And that hit me because what I think, what's happening in my subconscious
Right.
is a conscious process for other people. Okay, then I do this. I'm like, that's a given. So, right. Like, what do you mean?
We go to step 20 and we're like, well, the rest of that y'all already know. So now let's start from here. And everybody's looking like,
no,
well,
go back.
Right. And
Where's
we
step two?
screaming, yeah, that's a word. And they're like, but what was the word that was
what was
said?
the word? I don't know what y'all talking about.
Yeah.
But no,
yeah.
man. Oh, so many different takeaways there. But I just hope that those that are listening and rocking with us today don't miss the introspection moments for yourself.
Yeah.
Even from the beginning when she was sharing who she is and what she does
Yeah.
and the fact that she likes to think. These are some of the telltale signs, not just from the standpoint of, because there's several out there who probably gonna be like, yeah, I'm Sharona. Sharona's me.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Maybe not.
maybe not.
Right.
My point is, get to know who you are.
Yeah.
You have your zone of genius, and it may not look like mine, it may not look like Kanis's, it may not look like Sharona's, but you have your zone of genius, and you've got to get comfortable there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because others are uncomfortable there.
Yeah.
And their uncomfortability will cause you to dim down
Yeah.
Yeah.
what you do
Yeah.
because you're like, well, clearly this is not normal or natural. But you've got to be able to, this is what, because that thing that you find, that's what you bring to the table. And it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter what the career field is, what the service is, what the project is. That's what you bring to the table that nobody else is going to bring.
Yeah.
And you've got to leverage that. That's what
Yes.
business is all about.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So that's really, I mean,
Yeah.
really, that's something that could really rock for somebody.
yeah.
That could be the difference maker
Yep.
for your business today, is recognizing what I bring to the table. No one, like no one's even close. They're not even in the same room.
Yeah. It's a difference
Yeah.
and it's a burden, right?
It's a
Realizing the burden of that.
That's a good word.
What it helped though, like even in my marriage, is like Kason realizing like, oh, you really don't see why somebody doesn't get it.
Wow.
Like it's not a arrogant thing. It's not a, it's just I don't.
It's not. You're
I
not
literally
thinking
don't understand
that.
why
you
nobody
don't
gets
get
what I'm
it.
yeah. And so that was so helpful because I didn't realize, like in a real way, even though everybody's like, I've told you this, I didn't realize that I come off as intelligent. I don't feel like that. I'm still the little girl from the hood that, you know, was like the big friend, like everything, you know what I'm saying? Like they had really awkward hair and, you know, just, that's what I feel, right? I listen to other people, I'm Googling the words they're saying, you know, you talk to a snail and you like, man, you really making me go back to college because you saying the words, right? You saying the things. And even when I hear videos of myself when I was younger, my vocabulary was way more extensive than it is now. I made the conscious decision to speak at a 3rd to 7th grade level. Because that means I understand the thing. Right. But sometimes I'm like, man, I forgot what that word
also
means.
allowed people to feel comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I did not realize that still to other people, it could come off like, well, you knew you were doing that. I'm like, I don't. No. Or I saw you looking at me, you're trying to figure this out. I'm like, I'm not trying to compete with you. All. I'm actually amazed at your genius. Like I was just watching you pointing out like, man, you always do this and that's pretty cool. Yeah. And again, making people uncomfortable, and so I didn't realize how that made people feel. But it helped when I could say, you know, to Case and Babe, like when I say this, I really don't get
what the problem is.
I don't, like I'm trying to.
What's the hold up?
Yeah, like, I feel like this is clear. Yeah. And so I am literally not just looking weird at you. I'm trying to figure out how to communicate. Yeah. Because I don't know the starting point for everyone else around me.
My God.
Right. And I've always said that newer geniuses, whoever we call geniuses, gifted, or whatever, everyone that's just a neurodivergent that we like. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we like it, so we say you're a genius. We like it, so we say this. But you're neurodivergent.
You're neurodivergent.
You don't process the way everyone else does. No. Your creativity is not like everyone else's. And so when I'm sitting here saying, I don't see how y'all didn't get here.
Yeah.
I really don't. When I'm saying I don't know how to pace, like realizing that's a thing, because I started testing it out.
Right.
Like, can you tell me when you're overwhelmed in this conversation? And I would see like, I was about to give you this. And I'm telling somebody, hey, just test drive a car next week. And they're like, I'm like, that's what you needed? Wow. Like for the next 6 months, all you needed was to test drive a car?
Wow.
And I was about to say give me all of this. But you're like, I needed that. You know what I mean? And so
because the only thing I wanted to interject there is that I love the way you phrase it's the neurodivergent that we like.
Yeah.
Because your serial killer is neurodivergent as well. Yeah. And that's not the neurodivergence that we like. But they're operating in their genius in that zone. Absolutely. But we just kind of classify like, well, we like this one. He's a child prodigy. Look at him on that piano. Oh my goodness, he can play everything. That's a neurodivergent that we like and we can accept as a society, but it's still a neurodivergent nonetheless.
Yes. And it comes with other things, right?
Yes, it does.
Because that
never by itself. Never by itself.
That child is super creative that notices all the sounds and this and plays 8 different instruments might also not be able to take a certain type of light because they literally see it blinking.
Yes.
No one else can, but they see every blink. So when they're sitting there going, it's because a light has been blinking in their face for the last 30 minutes.
Yep.
And you don't realize that's the same thing that makes them creative to realize the nuances in everything.
Yeah.
They hear the differences in frequencies. They hear like every little thing. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
And so that's also great to be able to communicate to someone to say this thing that you love here also works this way,
right?
And that you don't like.
I would imagine that level of awareness of who you are and what you bring to the table also makes you a better client too.
Yeah, because
absolutely.
I was saying earlier that when we talk about bad clients, I realize I've been my worst client.
There it is.
Right? Like, you know the things. Yeah. It's like, just do this. And I'm like, I can't. And folks are like, you know what to do? Do I? I do know the formula. I do, but I couldn't figure it out. Right? Crazy. I can't do the thing. I just wouldn't arise to do it. Like the ADHD. You realize, there you go. I just can't do that today.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's just not going to happen today.
I can't. But when I do decide to do it, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to do a month worth of everything in a day.
My goodness.
But if you ask me at 10 o'clock to do it, I literally would just be like, You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I have something I need to do right now. I'm just like,
no. So
it's not today.
It's I can't do it, right? Or I
crazy.
would have at the time I would schedule presentations or a brand strategy meeting to deliver it and then present it to a client, and I haven't even started, but I have to do it because it creates
the urgency.
Yes.
Yeah. And knowing those pieces about yourself allows you to set up systems and processes in your business that allows you to be successful.
Yeah.
So I mean, real talk, I will create a fictitious deadline.
Yeah.
Just because if I don't have the deadline, it'll never get done.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's Michael Jordan, I think there's a clip of him making up someone saying something about him or his mom or something like that.
It was Orlando Magic.
He was saying it in interviews. He was saying
because he needed a nemesis.
He needed it to perform.
Yes.
He needed it to perform, and he just knew that. So it's like, you're just going on here lying.
Yeah, straight lying. Like,
because
and the dudes were just like, we never said that. That wasn't us.
Yes, you did. And that's why I got to know.
That is
Beast
hilarious.
Right,
Wow.
like you have to create, and that follows you. That follows you with your clients. It follows you in your life. It follows you, and so it's helped me to be a better client for myself.
Yeah,
to say, okay, now what is it that you actually provide? So it's not just music. It's not storytelling. It's not. Although I love all of those,
right?
It's I'm great at processing and patterns.
Processing and patterns.
Like I know, and actually my greatest strength might be risk management because I see it coming.
Yeah.
Because I process it very quickly and I process patterns. I get where it's, I like manipulating and often I'm right. Someone's like, you just want to be right. Well, yes, I do want to be right. That's why I don't mind being wrong.
That's correct. That's why we tweak.
And that's also why I'm manipulating everything to see what happens
What happens here? What happens now?
So I don't mind being wrong. Tell me where I'm wrong. I just happen to be right.
One of we're getting ready to land, but one of the things I love about this particular conversation is this takeaway that we are our own client.
Yeah.
Like that's not something that we've touched on before on the couch.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you are being served by your business more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Even though, you are actually doing the service, but you are being served by your business more than anyone else. And with that in mind, it kind of helps you to put together a framework.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so because I am my biggest asset, how am I investing in my biggest asset?
Yeah. How do I present it?
How do I present my biggest asset?
Yeah.
Do I even know my biggest asset, which is me? Because knowing myself could be the biggest gift I could give to my business.
Yeah.
Or knowing my process will give me the processes and hacks to be able to be consistent or to deliver. Because in business, man, sometimes we don't talk about this. But sometimes the due date is coming. I'm just like, I don't feel like doing it today.
Pretty much.
That's what the Incubator's Couch is all about. We want to hold space for these kinds of conversations.
Yeah.
I love, some of the things that we've shared here today. Sharona, man, take a second and tell folks where they can find you, follow you, some of the things that you got coming up next. I know it's a lot.
It's a lot.
But just pick one or two.
Yeah. So Sharona Henderson on all platforms. And I have an ebook, a free ebook. That's probably the easiest thing on my website, SharonaHenderson.com.
Okay.
It's called This Is What Light Does. And it's a little bit of the revelation that I've kind of come to for who I am.
Yeah, right.
Someone told me recently, they said, you're the most confrontational person I've ever met in my life.
What?
And I was like, this is in the middle of a great conversation. I felt,
Wow.
I'm asking all the questions. Do you think that's why you do this? And do you think that's why I do? All the thinking about why.
Right.
And I said, huh? And they were like, I don't mean that you argue.
Yeah.
He was like, you're not there to argue. It's not that. It's that to be in your presence is to have to confront yourself. And it can be incredibly difficult for a person. You're highly confrontational. And it
you
made
represent
me think,
oh gosh.
But we don't think about that as what light does, right? And so it's like we're in a studio now.
Yeah. Light is critical.
Right? And light is critical. What's crazy is you could be in a room that you feel like is well lit, right? And then you bring a ring light or a certain light, and then all of a sudden shadows appear that weren't there before.
true.
But they were.
They were. It's just the light was.
They were. But you didn't have that focused
You're in
light.
my bag now.
Right? So when that focused light comes, all of a sudden there's a shadow here, there's a shadow here, there's a shadow. So you actually need 2 or 3.
Yes, lights.
If not 4.
Together. you know.
If not 4.
If not 4,
5.
right?
Yeah. But 2 or 3
with 2 or 3.
together.
But you needed to help with the shadows that were already there in the room that you thought were lit.
This is what the ebook. This is what the ebook.
Right. So this is what light does. And so I have lived in a world where I'm like, man, why do people think I'm confrontational? Why is it that when I ask a question, it's like, why aren't you a team player? Why aren't you this? And it's like, I thought we said we want to walk in the light.
Yeah.
And so let's turn it up.
And
I'm exposing the shadows. Like everybody looked good until the light, a greater light came in the room.
Oh.
I'm okay with it.
Oh.
Right. I'm like, great. There's a shadow here. There's a shadow there.
Let's go.
But that doesn't feel good. And so for the person who says they want to walk in the light that has been calling someone rebellious or like you just, always have to point out what's wrong. And maybe there's a different way to look at it.
Right.
And then for the person who has felt like, man, I can't fit in.
Yeah.
I see it. And then I call it out and then people don't accept it and they feel out of place. Well, that's what light does, right? It's not just to make the room feel well lit.
That's a normative behavior, attribute of light. When
It
light
confronts.
comes in, it confronts.
It exposes.
Wow.
Right? And
That's a word too.
but it invites you into communion, right?
It does.
And so that kind of
and it
takes you through that.
Yeah, man, there's so many different little analogies you could put in there and take away from that as well. Sharona, every time we come, we say we got to have you back. So we might as well just say it again.
I need a jersey.
We got to have you back.
You do. We're going to get you a shirt.
We're gonna get you a shirt. Incubator's couch shirt.
Yeah.
And we're gonna call you one of our therapists. Because I'm certain those of you in the chat right now, let's go ahead and take a second right now in the chat and let us know what are some of your revelations, some of your takeaways from today's episode as well. It's just been phenomenal. We can't thank you enough, Sharona, for being with us. It has been amazing. It has been amazing. And we hope that you guys are going to engage as well. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all of the things. Yeah. Notification bell is appreciated. But the comments, I cannot overstate that. Make sure you get in that comment section, sound off, let us know what you took from it, and then let us allow us to engage with you as well, and then make sure you come back for the next one. Any final words?
No. Sharona knocked it out the park.
Come on.
Always.
Every single time. Grace and peace. Well, fam, listen, this has been dope. If you want to check out more Incubator's Couch conversations, click on this video right here. We had a conversation with Tiffany Crenshaw. We had another one with our good friend Chris, and we would love for you to be able to check those out. And click here to watch, and we'll see you in the video. Later.